They have the best record in the league, don't they? Celtics? Celtics have the best record in the league? They got to have the best record in the league. All right, they cleaned your clock at the end of a trip. To me, the 3 wins are more important than that game yesterday. The Warriors have struggled against good teams this year. They struggled again yesterday against a really good team, but they handled 3 teams that they were better than on this trip. It's disappointing to get your ass kicked, but it's one game, and I still give the trip, I'll give it a A-, B+. I think I said last week, I'll tell you what, can you go, this was before I realized New York wasn't going to play anybody. I was like, I think I'd take 2-2. Had to keep the momentum going. Where are Warrior fans at right now after last night's game? Look, Guru thinks the Warriors missed an opportunity. Not really missed an opportunity like they coughed up a game, but just more disappointing. He thinks, I'm going to let him speak for himself. I thought they had a hell of a trip. They got their ass kicked yesterday, and they play Milwaukee on Wednesday, and that's where we're at.
I'm looking at the standings. Steiny, anybody would take 3-1. And you did mention, Goo 2-2 possibly. I'm not stupid enough to not know 3-1. That's better than 4. Obviously better than 2-2. My thing is, this is just me and how I look at sports. That 7-22 was a thing, and we just saw it last weekend here, where they were up 16 against Denver. I know it's the NBA. They let that one get away fine. But at some point, this was more of a measuring stick for the Warriors than it was for a Boston team that was hot as fish grease. And I thought it was just another opportunity that went by the wayside. And we talk about, if you want to nitpick and see who the Warriors have beaten in this stretch, that would have been almost Exhibit A to beat Boston and add that, but they didn't. And then in the fashion that they lost it in, it was embarrassing. Not to the play, they'll get over it. It was just one game. But Steiny, nobody, I don't believe, tuned into that game thinking that was going to be over at halftime or the first quarter. And Kevin Dana, who's great, in the last call of the game, I think we may have it. This Quinones going to shoot so they can get it under 50. Like there's no win in that, KD. Even if they lose by 49, it still was an embarrassment. So you come back to the Bay. Steph still hasn't got rest. So now I'm thinking, okay, Steiny, if he golfs and that knee is barking with the bursitis, maybe you sit him. Will Wiggins come back? I don't know. But I'm looking at this team, and yesterday was a glaring example that, forget Steph Curry for a moment, Steiny. Who's their second most efficient offensive player? And to me, without Wiggins, it's Kuminga. And he didn't have, a day yesterday. Nobody did.
Ready for this?
Go ahead.
With Wiggins, it's Kuminga.
Oh. Now, what if I told you he can fluctuate with Wiggins? And I'm not saying if they had Wiggins yesterday, that game doesn't get out of hand. I know Wiggins can do some things.
I can count on Kuminga now more than Wiggins. I can.
He's
got a more reliable game. That doesn't mean he's not going to have some bad games.
But I have nothing for you.
But he's with what's going on right now. Kuminga has become a more reliable player. Yeah. Is Wiggins at his best, better all around? Yes. But the word's reliable. Kuminga's become reliable.
And I'm going to give Pods.
I know he didn't play.
Steiny, I'm going to give Pods. We had mentioned him. I'm going to give him some credit. Well, you did.
Did he play yesterday?
No, he was out.
He missed Toronto too, right? Has he missed the last 2 games?
Yeah.
He missed the last 2 games. I mean, to me, I'm going back to January 30th. It's over a month. The Warriors have lost 1 game to me. They've had 1 bad loss.
The Clippers.
No. The Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks loss was their worst loss to me. They beat Philly. They beat the Grizzlies. They lost to the Hawks. They should not have lost that game.
But they had a 14-point lead at home against the Clippers.
Clippers are good. They can't beat good teams. That's my point. They lost to Boston. They lost to the Nuggets. They lost to the Clippers. And their other loss in that group was the Hawks. Which team doesn't belong? It's the Hawks. They have handled everybody they should beat except the Hawks. The Celtics and the Clippers, their record since the start of the season, they're maybe the best team in the West.
39-20 right now.
Like, you can't
beat Minnesota yesterday.
Exactly. By the way, look at the score of that game.
89-88.
Teams are defending. 888-957-9570 is the number. I did want to play something. Okay, I'll play. Where's the one? Here. Okay, here.
Give it to us.
Guru's starting to calm down, so we know when that happens, we got to try to wind him up. And maybe Draymond Green can do it.
I don't think we really played a full defensive strategy to kind of dive into that. We didn't we implemented our strategy like 15 minutes before we left the locker room. So I don't necessarily think we put together a full defensive strategy to debate on what they're doing with their offense and how to stop it. But
it was a Reggie Roby game.
Why did he have to add 15 minutes? That to me, I'm not even really. That was odd and peculiar.
What was the game plan before 15 minutes before the game?
The questions I have.
All right, can I?
Coach, what are we doing on Jaylen Brown tonight? Let us
Can I take you through a timetable?
Yeah, talk to us.
Can I please take you through a realistic timetable for somebody who once traveled like a basketball player, at least behind them? They played Thursday in New York.
Gotcha.
They fly to Toronto, and they don't get there till 7:30 in the morning.
Facts.
Kerr says, just go to sleep. They sleep till the mid-afternoon, 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They get up. They go beat Toronto. They beat Toronto. They leave Toronto. They got to go back through customs and get to Boston. They get to Boston at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. You think they practiced Saturday?
I'm going to say no.
Of course they didn't. Yeah. They were coming off back-to-backs with a bad travel scene. So they don't practice Saturday. Now they're playing the Celtics. Oh, but it's an afternoon game. I'm not surprised by any of this. The other reason I'm not surprised is it's Boston. It's not a Western Conference team that you see 4 times a year.
But it's what Evan said. What was I get all that, but what was the game plan for Jaylen Brown, who you beat in 2022, right, and you beat him just last time they came to visit you this year?
Well, how do you want to guard Jaylen Brown?
The way you've been guard.
Right,
no,
you want to bump up on him on the perimeter?
Who are you right now? You are defending Homer.
Wasn't a big loss.
You are past that. I don't know who you are right now.
Wasn't a big deal.
No, we're not talking about how they got there in the miles. We're talking about 15 minutes before a game, somebody saying to Draymond Green and the war, let's just sag like that. That not odd to you?
Not
that has
really.
Nothing to do
Actually,
with,
not
with
really.
How long you been in the air or on a bus?
What are the other ways to implement a defensive strategy against Jaylen Brown? What are your other options?
Do just what you did when you beat him last time they showed up. Do what you did last time you beat him in the 22 finals, because the last I checked, he's not Larry Bird.
He's a better player now.
Okay, well...
he's shooting 34%
he
from
embarrassed you yesterday. 19 first quarter points. He embarrassed you.
Some players are so great, you have to give something
Jaylen Brown's
up.
not one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jaylen. Oh, really? Yes.
It's the highest paid player in the league, I think.
You going Vontae with the really. But yeah, oh, really?
Wait, but Steiny, you would even agree. There's a difference between sagging off and treating him like Tony Allen or Timofey Mozgov.
Of course there is, but...
That's how they treated him yesterday.
Okay, he's a great player.
That's what I'm saying.
One of the reasons they may have sagged off was because they were at the end of a trip and they had no energy.
Well, that's what I think it points to, is like, to your point, they did punt.
Exactly. That's why I'm not really worried about any of this stuff.
Well, they shanked the punt. Because if you were going to punt, Curry's ass should have been on the bench with Pods.
Man, you guys think every team should, like, if you're a really good team, you should go 80-2.
Well, nobody's saying
they're not a really good team. They're 3 games over 500. But everybody thinks they're going to go into Boston at the end of a trip.
No, we're asking to compete. Just compete.
They were out of gas.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe because they're old.
Right.
Like, why don't you look at some practical reasons?
No, I'm not going to sit here. It's wins or losses. Okay. It's not losses with extenuating circumstances. Because Steiny said you got into Toronto or Canada. It was a national TV game. Let's ball. We haven't beat good teams. Let's send a message or at least try. Let's get past halftime.
You think it's that
and you're up in here 3-1 because they beat 3 dump truck teams.
You think it's so easy for a guy 36 years old. Steph Curry, and it's so easy for Klay Thompson coming off 2 serious injuries at 34, and it's so easy for Draymond Green,
well, you know
who's
what,
getting
Steiny,
older, to play
coach,
3 out of 4
shouldn't
games.
even showed up. They should have called the NBA
Then yell at Kerr.
and got a violin and said, you know what, we're F because we're old.
And this is,
Steiny feels sorry for us. Yeah, you got in there. Nobody cares about that. Ball out. You're getting paid millions of dollars.
There's your strategy.
You never played in the league either, just as much as
but
me.
I know what the travel's like.
Competition looks like, and yesterday was an embarrassment by everybody.
It didn't matter.
And they need to be called out.
Scheduled loss. No,
when you
no
up here
chance.
throwing parades in Mardi Gras for beating Toronto in New York,
why didn't you
in
come
Washington,
in here?
And I told you before that game, Curry should have been resting. Okay. And I'm not even a doctor, and I stand on that.
Right.
And now how we look?
He's golfing today.
Yeah,
Steph's golfing today. That's how seriously he's hurt. I mean,
golfing ain't going to let us know if you're hurt. When you run up and down against Milwaukee is when we find out if you're hurt.
Instead of lamenting the loss, why don't we think about why it happened? You think you think it's an excuse. They're old. They're an older team. You must take that into consideration. It was an afternoon game. Like, I know we are so freaking spoiled. It is ridiculous. We think Steph Curry's going to play his 3rd game in 4 nights. It's an afternoon game against the best team in basketball, and we think he's 27 and could just go out there and score 44 without thinking about it. This is the best team in basketball they played. They got their ass kicked. The Celtics have beaten like 3 or 4 teams by 50. It's like, I'm just saying it's not the end of the world.
But they got their ass kicked in 10 minutes, Steiny. And I got to say this. I'm not saying you don't have a point about the age, but, bro, the way that you're painting that picture of their age, they got nothing coming.
Well, exactly.
See, I don't feel that.
Okay, why not?
Because they just got hot and showed us they could play.
It's February, Goo. It's February. And they're beating, like, we saw a team get their ass kicked yesterday. But it's the same team that can't beat anybody good and hasn't consistently all year.
That's where I'm having a problem with.
Let's go to Hunter in San Francisco. What's up, Hunter? How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, man. How are you guys?
Hey.
Hanging in.
Hey, listen, I agree it was a missed opportunity to rest Steph. Injury or not, I think he could have used the rest and come back strong.
I'll meet you halfway there. That's fine.
The other thing is, I wonder if it was a missed opportunity to put Moody up against Jaylen Brown. Moody doesn't do good against the small, quick guards, but it would have been an opportunity to test him against more like a Jalen Brunson, a bulkier guard. And so I thought, rather than dropping off, they could have tested Moody there.
I think Brown's too quick for Moody. I think the reason Moody I could see why Moody would have more success against a guy like Brunson.
Well, it couldn't have got any worse for what they tried to do.
Can make Brown try to go left.
You know what? Let me tell you something.
There was nothing. Go ahead.
He's Andrew Wiggins. He's the same. He's
Exactly.
He's the exact same.
I don't think the book's out on him like that, though, Steiny, with his left.
I do.
They exposed him in the finals.
Just because, it's just because a guy's going right, you can't stop him from going right all the time, because the minute you overcome, like Wiggins he can, as Mike Montgomery once said, he's not a paraplegic. He can get something done with his left. If you overplay him too much to the right, then he can get that right shoulder underneath you, and then he's at the basket. Let's see what else. Let's go to some curse. The game plan didn't work, Draymond Green.
Hey, it ain't work. Oh, well, we move on. Hey, it ain't work. Oh, well, we move on. It's okay. I thought it was fun to try. I was actually all for it. Let's try it and see if it works. If it don't, oh, well. If it does, we found something. All right, it ain't work, so we move on.
You know what? Who's our last caller? Remember his name?
Hunter?
Hunter. I'll tell you what, I'll meet you halfway there, just to meet you. Just because I'm trying to be conciliatory.
But not me. It's Hunter,
no, you. No, you. Because
Yeah.
this is essentially what you were saying. Yeah, they missed an opportunity to get Steph 16 less minutes. Sure, I'll buy you there. I will absolutely. I'll buy that. They probably should have rested him yesterday.
And I'll say this about the Joe Montana minutes.
But he didn't play 40 minutes.
The impact of those 16 minutes on the bursitis issue. That could be more than 16 minutes.
Guru,
That's
please,
all.
you can't do that.
There.
No, Goo.
Yeah, I get you with
we had
numbers.
Dr. Panja on, and he's like, this is not a big deal. But you're going to tell me 16 minutes could be the difference. I'm going to go with.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not telling you to go with me. I'm just telling you moving forward. I mean, this is hopefully it's not a big deal.
If Curry gets hurt this week, it's going to be because of Sunday.
Can I ask you a question?
That's what I'm going to brace for.
Yeah, because I'm good here. And I said, was there any part of you that watched that game and just thought, man, they could have used Wiggins?
No. Yeah. Was there any part of you?
Oh, every minute of the game. Every game they
was that the game he was going to get 53?
Dude, I think he's better than you give him credit for on a good day. That's why
on
they
a
lost.
Good day.
Yeah.
But that's why I'll take Kuminga over. Yeah, and Kuminga's become more consistent than Wiggins. Anybody want to fight me on that?
Speaking of absence, what about the Celtics? Celtics really missed Kristaps.
Oh my God! Now my head's gonna explode. He didn't play. That was Evan.
Look, this is it. The Warriors are like a boxer. Yeah, look, they can beat the tomato cans. They can. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have not proven.
But they can change that. If they're going to do something these last 22, they got to change it.
Season 75% over.
Yeah, they got to change it.
They have not beaten good teams.
You got Dallas here, there. You got Lakers. You got Clippers.
So let me ask you this.
That's the defining theme of the Warriors season. It will play itself out, but partner, they got to go through it to get to it.
So when the Warriors were winning but not beating great teams, and their record against good teams was still really bad, why were people thinking they could make a run even though they have had no track record yet this year of beating, let's just say, the top 5, 6 teams in their conference?
I love you for that. I'm going Horseshack, ooh, and welcome back, Carter. Steiny, it was because they were so low that without Draymond Green and just the way everything looked, and I'm second guessing everything, this is the best cracker I ever had. And anytime they beat a team, I don't care what their record was, my stomach was full. It was like, oh, we won. And that's why I was just like, okay, yeah, they're gaining momentum. And I understand you can't beat Denver and Boston every time. But I was starting to show me it's real. And they didn't do that. And I guess I'm emotional because on top of Denver and those two, it's the NBA game. You told us that. Those 2 14-0 runs to close out the quarters or what have you. Yesterday, you ran your team out there without Wiggins because that's your reality right now. And you're telling me you couldn't last a quarter? That was Bob Cousy, Larry Bird, McHale, Bill Russell. This was the biggest lead the Celtics have ever had at halftime in their history.
Yeah.
I'll lay that there.
Yeah, I don't care. Once you punted the game, you must live with the circumstances.
You didn't punt. You fumbled. You fumbled.
You want to blame somebody? I'll tell you who to blame. And I'm dead serious. Blame the NBA. You can't sit Steph Curry for a nationally televised game against the Boston Celtics. They got all those rules in place now. They got all that crap that you got to prove the guy's really hurt. I guarantee you that Steve Kerr said, first of all, if you're going to miss a game, we'll miss Wednesday's game. It's a pain in the ass for Steph Curry to try to miss a game that's an ABC game on a Sunday. The league has put up mechanisms to make that more difficult for a team to do.
We've had that. You're right. And that's why I think it's worse that the 3 games prior to lesser teams than you, one, he didn't get a rest. That's all. Oh. And you can back me up on that. I've been consistent.
And you know who you blame on that? Draymond Green. Because Draymond Green put him in a hole where they had to win those 3 games, and they're not good enough to assume they can beat anybody without Curry.